Once again, the IFAH-Europe Annual Conference held in Brussels brought together key European opinion leaders, decision makers and food chain stakeholders. As the conference opened, delegates were welcomed by IFAH-Europe Chairman Alejandro Bernal, who introduced the 2012 conference theme, Healthy Animals for a Safe, Secure and Sustainable Food Supply. Two keynote speakers opened proceedings. First was Catherine Guélin-Lanaëlle, Executive Director of the European Food Safety Authority, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year. The director covered the authority's achievements so far and the challenges ahead, emphasizing EFSA's role in building trust between the consumer and the food industry.
Any retrospective analysis of European food safety, I believe, should acknowledge that the European food safety model introduced in 2002, and in particular the separation of risk assessment and risk management functions, has been successful in rebuilding the trust of consumers and trading partners in the food supply, and as well, I think, in strengthening the overall EU food safety system.
She was followed by David Lever, Professor Emeritus from the Royal Agricultural College in the UK, who, whilst emphasising some of the success stories in Europe's efforts to ensure food production from healthy animals, concluded by issuing a warning that overemphasis on environmental concerns may lead to a less competitive agricultural sector. A Q&A session followed where the importance of good communication with consumers was highlighted. During the coffee break, Dermot Jewell, Chief Executive of the Consumer Association of Ireland, took up this theme.
I suppose realistically, for clarity's sake, consumers know that they're going to have to spend extra money on their food if they want it at the quality that they determine. And to do that, without a question, is going to need transparency right across the board, so the consumers are confident that they're paying a reasonable sum, not an exorbitant one.
Dieter Schillinger, member of the International Livestock Research Institute's board, chaired the next session, which featured presentations by Maxim Bobkov, corporate, regulatory and scientific expert from Nestlé, giving a private sector view on the impact of food safety on supply management and consumer trust. Then Hans Joostens, policy officer in the food-related sectors unit at the European Commission, talked about animal product standards as a key to trade, including the use of access teams to ensure that standards were not wrongly used as a barrier to free trade. Free trade across borders is essential, and a regulatory environment to support this is essential. Declan O'Brien, IFA's Managing Director.
We have a big opportunity. The legislation is due to be revised starting next year, so early 2013 we will start the process, and we need to move to a situation where we essentially submit one dossier, we have one assessment, and we have a licence that's valid across the 27 member states. Currently it's all fragmented. There are various methods of getting into the market at the moment, but we have a very clear vision about where we need to go in order to maximise the availability of safe, high-quality, effective medicines across the European Union.
The afternoon kicked off with a session chaired by Kate Trollope, editor of online publication EU Food Policy, featuring Peter Oostenbach, chairman of IFAH-Europe's Food Chain Committee, who concentrated on the good news, Europe's success stories in controlling disease, including salmonella, mastitis and more. Once again, the need to pass on positive messages to consumers was highlighted. John McAvoy, head of sector residues from the European Commission's Food and Veterinary Office, gave delegates a detailed picture of withdrawal periods, MRLs, and residue monitoring. The final session of the afternoon began with a presentation by Arie Havelaar from the Netherlands Public Health and Environment Institute on the risk reality of food today. Then it was time for a panel discussion introduced by ex-BBC presenter and journalist Cathy Smith, who began by interviewing Kate Trollope on why food safety issues dominate the headlines. The panel included some of the day's speakers and other experts, including Roland Aumüller from NGO Global Gap, Laura Smiley of EFSA, and Bernard van Gutem, Director for Veterinary and International Affairs at DG Sanko, who stressed the importance of a coordinated response at times of crisis.
I think the most important is to have a coordinated reply to the journalists, and I think we have learned that over the last, I would say, 10 years, because at the level of the Commission we manage all the food crisis.
The discussion continued with many questions from the audience, leading to a lively exchange of views among the panellists. The conference ended with a summing up by Declan O'Brien of the main themes tackled during the day, and IFAH-Europe's thanks to delegates, speakers and panellists for their contribution to another stimulating IFAH-Europe conference.